Well, life comes at you fast, doesn't it? The very day after Rachel Reeves announced billions in spending, we find out that the economy has shrunk. Yes, the headlines screaming Rachel Reeves' spending spree continues. But the question nobody in Westminster seems willing to answer is where on earth this money is coming from. And more importantly, is Britain's economy on the brink of recession? I'm Emily Carver and this is GB News Originals. Don't forget to subscribe to the GB News YouTube channel for more content like this. Well, let's start with the cold hard facts, shall we? The latest figures from the Office for National Statistics, they've landed like a slap in the face for the Chancellor. GDP fell by 0.3% in April. That's not just a blip, it's a warning siren. The services sector, the backbone of our economy, shrank by 0.4%, production down by 0.6%, and all of this comes the very day after Rachel Reeves unveiled her massive spending review. So while the government is promising billions for health, billions for infrastructure, billions for energy, the economy is shrinking. It's the economic equivalent of throwing a lavish party while your bank account is in the red. Where is this money coming from, Rachel? So let's talk about the Chancellor's grand plan, shall we? Reeves has pledged a £39 billion boost for social and affordable housing, new transport initiatives, a bold push into nuclear energy thanks to Ed Miliband, and even increased defence spending. The government is promising to build 1.5 million new homes, fix the NHS, transform our energy sector, all seemingly overnight. Now, analysts are warning that these spending plans will likely be paid for by, you guessed it, raising your taxes. That's right, more of your hard-earned money straight into the Treasury's coffers for Rachel Reeves to spend how she wishes. Now, you might have heard that GDP rose by 0.7% in the first quarter of 2025. Reeves and her allies were quick to trumpet this as proof that their policies are working. But let's not be fooled. Professor Joe Nellis, an economic advisor, has called this out for what it is: unsustainable, driven by one-off factors like a surge in exports before President Trump's tariffs hit. In other words, the growth was a mirage. The real economy is stagnating, and the government is running out of room for manoeuvre. There's little fiscal headroom, as the experts put it. Translation: the money's running out and the bills are piling up. Now, let's not forget what's happening beyond our borders. Yes, President Trump's tariffs have slapped British industries with levies of up to 25%. It's been a body blow to some of our exporters. Meanwhile, inflation in April hit 3.4%, the highest since February 2024. Prices are rising, families feeling the squeeze, and the Bank of England is now too cautious to cut interest rates any further. This is the economic storm Reeves is sailing into, armed with little more than a chequebook and a wish list. Some will point to the construction sector, which grew by 0.9% in April, thanks to the government's housing pledge. But let's be honest, one sector's uptick isn't going to save the day if the rest of the economy is shrinking. You can't build your way out of a recession if the foundations are crumbling. Now, the International Monetary Fund is projecting that the UK economy will grow by 1.2% this year. On paper, that sounds vaguely reassuring, if not measly. But let's not kid ourselves. With inflation stubbornly high, global trade on a knife edge, these forecasts are little more than educated guesses. Couple that with Rachel Reeves continuing to bash small businesses, putting those national insurance hikes up, it's a difficult picture. And here's the bottom line. The sustainability of Reeves' spending promises depend on one thing: kickstarting real sustainable growth. Without it, the only way to pay for all these pledges is to hike your taxes even more than we've already seen. And let's be honest, how many times have we been promised that growth will pay for it all? It's the oldest trick in the book. When the numbers don't add up, it's always the taxpayer left holding the bill, isn't it? Where is this growth? Let's get real. The government can't keep spending money it doesn't have. At some point, the credit card bill comes due. And with the economy shrinking, tax receipts falling, and global headwinds mounting, we're running out of options. So where is the money going to come from? Well, the uncomfortable truth is it's coming from you. Yes, those higher taxes, squeezed public services, borrowing that our children and grandchildren will be paying off for decades. So let's sum it all up, shall we? GDP is falling, inflation is rising, the government is spending like there's no tomorrow, and the only plan to pay for it all is to hope for a miracle or raise your taxes. I wonder which one is easier. Now, this isn't just bad economics, it's reckless, it's unsustainable, it's putting our future at risk. Now, Rachel Reeves and the Labour government need to answer some tough questions. Will they? Where is the money coming from? How do they plan to pay for these promises without bankrupting the country? And when will they admit that you can't spend your way out of a shrinking economy? It's time for a bit of honesty. It's time for some accountability too. And it's time for a real plan to get Britain back on track. Earlier on GB News, we spoke to the Chancellor herself, Rachel Reeves. Here's how she defended her spending review.
So those were data from April. Monthly GDP is notoriously volatile, so while the numbers are disappointing, perhaps not that surprising, and if you dig into the numbers it shows that trade and production are weak, and I think that reflects the tariffs that came in April. But of course since then we've had 3 trade deals with the United States, with India and with the EU, so obviously disappointing numbers, but they are volatile, and it was a particularly challenging month with so much uncertainty.
Yeah, it was challenging, Chancellor, not least because you raised national insurance and that kicked in for employers in April, the same month. You didn't mention that.
No, but that was known. But what wasn't known was the tariffs. But since then, we have secured those trade deals, and we did have to increase taxes as a government last year at the budget because there was a black hole in the public finances when we entered office last July. We needed to get a grip of the public finances and also have the money to properly fund our public services, and that's why yesterday in the spending review, I was able to put more money into defence to keep our country safe, put more money into our health service to reduce those NHS waiting lists, and also put money into projects to grow the economy in all parts of Britain, with transport better linking our towns and our cities, investment in affordable housing, and also investment in things like nuclear energy to secure our energies in this country.
But quite simply, where people need you to put money is back in their own pockets at the end of the month. British people are losing their jobs in record numbers. We saw a reduction in the number of people on a pay-as-you-earn system last month go down by record numbers, more than since the pandemic. There is genuine fear out there that people can't afford to live, and that businesses, small businesses, are closing at a rapid rate. What reassurance can you give people that they're going to feel that they can afford to meet even basic costs?
Well, I recognise that things are still tough for many people, but in the first 10 months of this Labour government, wages have increased by more than they did in the first 10 years of the previous Conservative government. That's real wages after inflation. But I do recognise that we need to do more to make working people better off. It's why, for example, yesterday we expanded the Warm Homes Plan to insulate more people's homes, to take money off their fuel bills every single year. It is why we are providing free school meals for children whose parents are on universal credit. It's why we are supporting childcare so that more parents can go out to work. But crucially, it's why it was so important to return stability to the economy, which has enabled the Bank of England to cut interest rates 4 times in the last year. And for families with a mortgage or paying rent, that is good news for them after the huge increases in interest rates and in inflation that we saw under the previous government.
Are we still, Chancellor, going to be able to afford an additional 13,000 police officers made up of specials and part-time police officers after your spending review, because the police didn't do as well, perhaps, as the NHS?
Well, police spending power is going to increase by 2.3% a year over the next 3 years of the spending review. That's an increase above inflation. That is the average increase that we put into public services yesterday. The NHS did get 3%, but I think most of your viewers will accept when NHS waiting lists are still at 7.5 million, that's where the Tories took them, that we need to get people the operations, the doctor's appointments, the dentist appointments that they need. But police funding is going up significantly by more than inflation and more than the average they've been receiving under the previous government. So that is a good settlement, but I'm not able to say yes to every request. And you made the point, and rightly so, about people having more money in their pockets. And I set the envelope for public spending at the budget last year. I said that public services now had to live within their means. At the spending review yesterday, I didn't spend a penny more or a penny less than the amount that I set out in the budget and at the spring statement. That is important because you have to get the balance right between tax, spending and borrowing. And if you said yes to every request for more money, you'd end up in the same position that Liz Truss ended up in, which is crashing the economy, sending mortgage rates spiralling and causing the cost of living crisis that's done so much damage. So I think it's a fair settlement for the police, and it is a real terms increase in their funding.
OK, thank you so much. I don't know whether you were watching GB News last night, Chancellor, but Patrick Christys has done a brilliant job of tracking down migrant smuggling gangs. Can you guarantee that you will work with the evidence that GB News has acquired to smash the gangs? Because, frankly, we are making it look quite easy at this end.
Well, I will make sure that the Home Office watch that, because we do need to crack down on those gangs. It's why yesterday we announced £250 million for the Border Security Command to do just that, because we can't just carry on like we have been these last few years. We do need to stop people crossing the channel, and then we need to deport people if they're here illegally. And that's why I was able to reaffirm that we would end the use of asylum hotels during this Parliament. It's right that we get people out of those hotels, and if people have got no right to be here, they should be on the plane back home, because it's not right that British taxpayers are picking up the bill for those hotel stays.
All right, Chancellor the Exchequer, Rachel, isn't it? You've got a busy schedule. Thank you so much.
Well, that's all for today from me. If you did find this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Let me know in the comments. Do you think Rachel Reeves' spending spree is putting Britain's economy on the brink? Do you think that miraculously our economy is going to start to grow to pay for it all? Or is it just what the country needs? Let me know exactly what you're thinking. I'll be reading every comment. Thanks for watching.